So those of you joining us from elsewhere, from other places, welcome. This is Trading the Post. We have a set way of looking at and approaching trading. And that set way basically is to have a good pocket full of strategies, be able to look at the market and understand when we can apply those strategies. We're not just one way or directional traders. We trade lots of different ways. We trade lots of different strategies based on what we're given. So for example, we had earlier in the week a condor on Boeing, and the way that we trade condors is to look for change in direction. So for example, this Boeing gave us a really nice opportunity as it was trading sideways, and we were looking for a potential change in direction, which we were given here on Wednesday. What we did on Wednesday was we went ahead and we morphed to the short leg. We caught this really nice move up. We made really, really nice profits on this move up. We shut the trade down. I think it was that same day when the stock stayed up here, the puts, the short side of the puts had accrued 90+% gains. So we shut the puts down. We still have lotto legs on both the puts and the calls. It looks like neither side will get paid, which is fine because at the time, those lotto legs were only a couple of cents anyway. So that really doesn't even impact us. Every once in a while, what will happen is those lotto legs will get paid. And when those lotto legs get paid, it's a huge bonus for us. But we don't ever expect or anticipate for those lotto legs to get paid, but sometimes it happens. So that's an example of a strategy that we used in a scenario that presented itself that we took advantage of. Currently, on a long perspective, we are taking a little bit of risk on a long-term position, which is called CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike, we are trying to combine a combination of fundamental analysis in combination with technical signals. We are early to this trade based on the technicals. We got into this trade right around here for a long. We're in January. I forget what strike we're in. And this happens to me all the time too. What strike am I in? Got to go look. Yeah, I know options are expiring. That's the point, you idiots. CrowdStrike, January 2024, 90 calls. Why 90? Because that is an in-the-money call with a specific delta. And that's a sweet spot that we look for in trade. So yesterday on this move up, I tried to catch a move down. I did not trade this well. This is new for me. So I didn't trade well. What I like to do is once I'm in a long-term position, I like to get that long-term position paid for as quickly as possible and then look for another opportunity to add to the quarter position. So in this instance, we're in these 94s. I was a little squirrely in getting lined up for the puts. And we have a couple of members who haven't done this before. Oh, it looks like our chat's enabled. Looks like might disrupt your screen share. Chat enabled. Is the screen, do you guys still have my screen? Joey, can we get through one of these without drama? Am I asking too much? Anyway, I get a little ADHD too, guys. So yesterday we have some members who have been in the room for a while. We haven't had an opportunity to really get long anything long term for obvious reasons. The market has been in a downtrend for quite some time. Why did we decide to take some here? Well, just in case this was a spot where the market was in fact going to turn. It does not look like that is the case. CrowdStrike will be on my watch list in what I could potentially be trading. Now, from a long-term or a big-term perspective, we've seen this before with a good move above the 200. Where did we see it? We saw it back in March of 22. Is this potentially the same thing? Potentially it is. Potentially it is. It doesn't mean that it is. Potentially, this could be the start of one of those moves that takes out these lows. It potentially could be a move back to where the highs were and a bounce off of these highs and a move higher. Do I want to form an opinion and set my feet and say, this is definitely what's happening? I do not want to do that. I am a trader. I have a long-term view and I prefer to be optimistic. And this is my first foray into a leap since basically we didn't have anything last year. I think we may have tried in spots, and this is what we're doing again. We're trying in spots. We're trying to see if this is a spot on a quality company with good fundamentals, insider buying, and potential for really, really nice long-term return. But we don't know that this is the spot. You can't just pop up and say, this is the spot and this is where we make our stand. You can say, I think this is a spot where we can come in. And if we're in the right spot, we can add. And in the meantime, what we can do is we can get our original investment paid for so that it takes any pressure off of us of having to make decisions that we don't want to make. Looking back at SPY, today's going to be a nice down day, but we talked about potential gaps. There could be a potential open and gap fill right back up. Don't know if that exists there. We'll find out. One of the other things that we like to do is we listen to our friends, Sang Lucci, et cetera, down in Puerto Rico. They like to do this live stream. So if you guys like listening to this as well, we'll put him on in the background. So they're just shooting the shit right now. We'll continue on our little whip around here. Stocks we're looking at for long term. This one is technically, this one's even in a better spot than CrowdStrike is. Fundamentally, I'm not as solid on this. And it's not as high up on the priority chain. And I'm not looking to load a portfolio filled with smaller companies like this that are potentially long-term. I need to pick one or two. I can't load the boat with these. Same story with the trade desk. Walmart is a solid company. You all know who they are. From a technical standpoint, in between the 50 and the 200, there's opportunity in this pretty much daily. And currently it's looking like it might be a nice candidate for a condor. We like to look for condors on Wednesdays and get premium decay over the weekend. It doesn't always work. This week we took Boeing on a Monday. We were out of that by Wednesday. Walmart, I don't know if I want to take it from a condor perspective this week or not. The big information that we were looking for is out of the way, which was the economic picture of the Fed, what they want to do. Now the big dog earnings are out of the way. Apple, Amazon, Google. Applied Material, also a nice looking upside, longer term upside case. Technicals are in favor. I don't like trading these this close to earnings from a long-term perspective. So this is worthy of chips in general, or worthy of keeping our eye on. We know the story on CrowdTrade right now. Twilio, another potential long-term, you got a gap fill there. So gap fills, what we look for with gap fills is 80% of the time gaps fill. 80% of the time when gaps fill, they reverse direction. It is an 80-20 rule. 20% of the time, the shit won't work. However, we look for probability. 80% is very high probability. Google missed numbers. So you had that nice spike up above the 200 yesterday and a move down here. It's in the middle of nowhere, no man's land. We're going to look for sweeper activity as well as some tape on Google. Today, there might be some nice opportunity there. I can't tell you which direction, but I think that the sweeper activity will help guide the way on it. Tesla, we have been trading. We like to use Fibonacci's a lot because they help us. Tesla almost retraced the entire move dating back to December. And why is it significant? Well, it's significant because we caught most of the move down and we continued with options to play the move down, or I should say stay in the trade. And what we did was we eventually rolled to March 33 and a third. So 33.33 were the strikes that we were in. And it was just a lotto. And why? Because we took profits to use to buy those lottos as a, just in case if the world looks like it's coming to an end for Tesla, we'll be there. Didn't work. We've been trading it in between, both to the upside and to the downside. It's a very good trading stock if you catch it on levels. Yesterday, almost retraced to the entire move. Couldn't do it. If this is the beginning of a move downward, I'm just going to reverse my fib here and say, okay, it didn't quite get there. It's failing. So where are the next levels? Well, this mint green line is the anchored volume weighted average price from the low of the pandemic. So that's a target, 178.89. What else is a target? The 21 and the 8 are converging here together. And that's at 169.61. Below that, there's a fib at 161.94. So those are targets if this slide starts to gain momentum. If not, we can flip the fib again. And what are the targets? Well, the upside is immediately is the 200. And this is an anchored VWAP from last year. ENPH, we've been picking on to the short side. We caught a good portion of this. We started a short when it broke the 200 here. We traded, and we were doing this in 2-week chunks. We traded around this. So when this bounced off of this fib and had a move back up to the 200, we caught some of this move. We didn't catch all of it. Some members wrote calls on ENPH at the 21, which turned out to be a nice trade. We stayed in our shorts because we had paid for a majority of our shorts with this little move up. We got to flush out. We were able to roll down. What were we looking for? We were looking for 161 and change. Didn't get it, but the roll down was used with profits and not all of the profits. So was it worth it to stay in? It was. Now we're looking for more opportunity to reshort. We're looking for it here at the 21. And this yellow line is the anchored VWAP for the year. So this was an appropriate place for reentry. I didn't take it. I was engaged in other trades, but now you're below the 8. I would keep an eye on this. This still has potential, especially because of the technicals, to flush out. Amazon, same story as Google. You had a gap fill. You have a miss in earnings, and now you're going to open, or it's projected to open back where it was closing on Wednesday. Goldman, whippy stock, difficult for me to trade. JP Morgan, more stable. Okay, here we go. We're opening up. NVIDIA, nice trading yesterday on NVIDIA. AMD, similar story. Domino's Pizza, this is for larger accounts off of levels. We're looking for levels on Domino's. Microsoft, similar story to SPY. And here's your Boeing. All right, so let's put on, got my Costco, LMT, Regeneron for biotechs, and Biogen for biotechs. Sorry, I didn't get all the way through that. So here's SPY, looking to bounce. Let's keep an eye on some flow here. I'm going to put Lucci on in the background. I just want to hear what these guys, it's just another eyes and ears look for me. So right out of the gate, AMD.
NVIDIA down 9.
Getting some sweeps here, and Meta too.
AMD Meta, so like
I'm not anxious right out of the gate to just jump on anything. Typically, Joey, nice job. So you took cues overnight. Well done. $3 on your call right. Big Don, nice trade. Where am I at on?
Recording in progress.
Guys, we haven't been recording. What just happened? Joey, talk to me, please. Why did Zoom just say recording starting? Okay. I don't know why that just threw out that, unless that came from these guys over here in trade space. Trying to give me a heart attack over here. All right, so crowd space moving back up a little bit. That's nice. See if we get a little gap fill. I want to keep an eye on CrowdStrike. Let me just make some notations here. And what I don't want to do, I want to get used to, I need to get used to it because short term, I'm going to trade this thing and get my long-term long paid for.
For today, 30 calls.
So I want to know here, and I want to know here.
Yeah, really small thing.
Which is trading Melly. Very, if you're not a big account, I wouldn't trade it. What do I define as big account? Big account I define as over $1 million. I'm going to adjust that to here. If you're not over $1 million and you're trading options on Melly, you are taking outsized risk. You don't need to do that. There are plenty of opportunities in other names that you can work with. All right, here's Tesla with a gap fill. So appropriate opportunity to look for a short.
Today, so
It may not work, but it is an appropriate spot for a try.
or Google next week 106.
What are they buying, Matt? So did anybody just take this Tesla short? This is working currently. That's that 80-20 rule on the gaps. If you don't like today's expiration, use next week.
Find the 30s for next week now. They bought 30s for today and 30s for next week. Or no, monthly.
Okay, so on Tesla, where's your tap out? Your tap out's probably right up here at this 188.52. You have to give it a little bit of room. If it's not working, it's not working, right? It's very early. Okay, so you want to tap out here, small loss. And or if you're just getting into the trade, that's not a bad place. Where else would I look for entry for short? Here? If they come in and they sweep this thing and it just keeps getting bombarded with calls, I just step away or I flip to the other side. Small account holders, you're trading small size to see and figure out if you can be in the right spot. So on a one lot, you're only losing 30, 40 bucks on a trade like that to get some information. And the information is this thing going to keep pressing higher? And if it is, you can flip to the other side. Let's see. See, now they're talking Tesla over here in trade space.
JPM and Tesla are only green. Oil green.
Vinny scalping in the after hours. Well done, Vinny. You guys are all clicking here. Okay, do I want to take another crack at the Tesla puts? Possibly. I've got alerts set on my CrowdStrike, so I'm not doing anything with that unless I get alerts. Then I'm going to take a look. Until then, I'm looking at you, Tesla. Woohoo! All right. Let's see if we get any sweepers here. I'm not seeing any sweeps yet. Okay, this thing's off to the races right now. So if you tried short and it didn't work, and you're flipping to the other side, yeah, you're kind of looking here, right? It's still early, but yeah, the move to the upside is on for now. So gap fill potential on the SPY.
Well, now they just hit 2.8 mil of the
$4.16
March puts.
JWN. Yeah, that's Nordstrom. I want no part of that. That's a big sweep right here on Microsoft. 7.6 mil. Did he see that? And that's clean.
Damn, Ron, I didn't even see that Microsoft slacking. 7.7 mil. That's clean. Slightly in the money. Balls.
That's clean, boys.
Looks clean.
So keep an eye on that. That's an early tell. You got a bunch of Google calls hitting here too. Let's go look at the Google. We might have an opportunity in the Google. The Tesla, that thing just ran away quickly, right? So let's take a look. That's tough now. How far out are they looking on the Google? Yeah, see, I'm not going to trade that JWN. I don't like that thing. 2.3 and 2.10 on the Google.
So enter here.
What are these knuckleheads trading? I don't mind taking a little Google just because look at this gap. Let's, you got a gap fill potential there, guys.
Somebody said there's data at 9:45. 10 o'clock, you have ISM. So yeah, there is data. Yes. PMI ISM. Yeah. That's at least we here. You know, I'm buying one futures right here. I'm going long.
You guys can hear Lucci. He's positioning himself long. What data is so important at 9:45 that people are worried about? PMI composite final. Yeah, you'll get an algo off of that, but I don't think it'll be very long lived. I'm not discounting it, so just be careful trading in front of it. DKNG put Kevin, you're still trading that freaking pile of garbage. Well done. 20 cents. Take it, book it. Nice job. Yeah, I mean, Kevin, I think that you do a really good job of being patient and looking for appropriate setups as opposed to just jumping in when we're trying to find stuff on triggers for short term, which is fine.
5 calls for the monthly. Still holding.
Let's take a look. High frequency traders looking for downside. Still not a clear picture to me. Still not taking anything. I think I want this Google though, guys. I'm going to take some 104s here.
sell the one lot that I have futures here. That was a nice one.
Very small.
Scalper picture.
That's the 190s for the day.
Yo, I like the Tesla bets. For some reason, they're coming into this one. If you look at this thing, it's already at 193. You know what I'm saying? If this market continues, don't be surprised. You see the shit at 200.
All right, I'm grabbing some 104 calls for today. If this thing breaks down below the lows, I will bail. And break above the highs, I will look to add. In between, I will not let it bug me. Why?
The JWN.
What's Tesla doing now?
So, that's starting to come down a little bit.
Okay, SPY right to the anchor, and this anchor is the anchor off of the Fed press conference right when Jay Powell started talking about how things aren't horrible and the market started ripping up. So yesterday when we traded, and by the way, this is normal activity for the 2, 3, 4 days after the Fed speaks, is for the SPY to have these big ranges and very violent moves. So, sorry, I'm going to mute these guys for a second. Teaching point on using anchors. So if you didn't anchor off of the Fed's presser, if you anchored off of just the announcement of the rate cut, that is a place to do it. And I use it as part art, part science. For me, I started using the anchor during the presser and when the moves actually started to happen. Yesterday, you had this amazing run, and in our service, we have a trader who's very good at looking at some of the areas where price can fill to. He called out 419 just before this move up happened. So we were looking for 419. What I had done is I had drawn some Fibonacci's. This touched a Fibonacci extension level to the penny, which is where I bailed on my longs. And then you had this program hit. And this program hit from 418.32 at 1101 all the way down to the anchored VWAP from when the presser started. And that move terminated at 413.23 yesterday at 1203. So in a very, very short period of time, this move erased long's entire days of profits, which is why if you're not trading shorter term, you have to have an amazing degree of patience, and you need time. Otherwise, you look for areas like this as opportunities to go long and short. I missed the bulk of this move. What I can tell you, though, is had I had, and it happened so quickly that in this instance, this was not making me very happy. What I did do, however, was I looked for a spike back up, which was this area here. And I shorted from here. I did not catch the top. I was somewhere in here and I shorted down to around here. I didn't stick around for the entire move to the anchor. To me, it can be really dangerous. And I was trading a 100 lot. If I'm trading a 100 lot on SPY and I get it wrong, it's a real problem. Okay, so Google calls are working now. So I'm green on those. Now potential for move up to here is good, and then potential gap fill. So I'm going to add a little bit to my Google calls, guys. I'm going to see if we can get this to continue. And let's see if they're coming in and buying. If they're buying anymore, let's see. Amazon bulls, Apple bulls, Here's some more Google. That's a block. Nvidia, nice. I don't know what cold is. I'm not worried about it. All right, so here we go. Good job on the Google, guys. That's going to make us some money. I'd look for, let's get some anchors on here so we know what we're working with. Let's get a, hello. Let's get a red anchor out here to look for an early target on the Google. Bank. All right, so above this, we're good. I would say that this move up to the 200 is a nice place for an exit, or at least to take some profits. Gap fill, if you want to roll and or stick around for gap fill, brings you up to starting at around this 105 area. So, you've got a nice move. If you want to take some profits, you can. If you want to stick around, I think you can. See this nice strong move. So this is that 80-20 rule, right? So you get to the 200, you're like, all right, I did good. Let's take some money off. Yeah, take some money off, right? If you get to here, you should be rolling for sure. You should be rolling, right? And remember, this is an area. It's not an exact to the penny. So are you within striking distance of the area? I would argue you are. 104.57, and then the move to the 200 is one. Okay, it's another 25 cents ish. So you can stick around, right? Like that's not that big of a move to do that. There's probably some algos written here. Guys looking for a break of the 200 may get flipped some stock when this thing breaks through, right? So short term, very nice little scalp. You're up nicely on it. If you want to take some profits here, you can. If you want to wait and see if you get gap fill, you can. If you want to roll to a different strike and use some profits, you can. But that's a very high quality scalp that you guys just caught. That's Brock, nice job. Well done. There's some more Google for today, the 105s. So they're either rolling or they're jumping in early. Not early, they're jumping in late. There's that ADHD kicking in again. I think you're going to at least get a touch of the 200. I'm going to start coming out here at the 200, reason being, I've got about 200 of these calls and I need to take some profits. So in the small account, I got to a 10 lot. I'm going to take half of that off because I'm at the 200. I'm a little bit more conservative. I see the gap. I'm not an idiot. You still have high probability of the gap filling. I'm somebody who likes to take profits and not have, I should have taken a profit there, remorse. I don't like that. It's not a good feeling for me. So congratulations, everybody. You caught the move. Long SPY 413 Monday at 238, looking for 414 out 305. Also closed my little lotto put on open for 20 cents. As you know that when you open on a gap like that, you really don't have any other choice other than to book it or roll it. So nice job. You guys are all trading really well. So if Google dips, it may give you another opportunity to buy. Let's look at it on a 1 minute. Okay, so you have some anchors here. Let's anchor off of the low. I can get rid of this now. Remove, yep. So press up to fill the gap. That's a nice space to fill, guys. Let's throw another anchor on off of the lows. However, where we started buying was here. So we can anchor off of where we bought. Okay, so If you were to hang on, we don't use stops. Why don't we use stops? Because market makers can see your stops. And if you set a stop and the market makers decide we're running stops, which is a time-honored cash collection activity on Wall Street, you are cannon fodder. I would rather have an area and an alert set to decide if that's where I want to exit, as opposed to just automatically being nixed out of the trade. No one likes that. Let's put a fib on just this gap here from this high to this low. We believe that this is potentially going higher to fill the gap. Let's look at the fibs and see. Okay, so 382 hit. Good area for exit. Not ironic that it touched the 200 in that spot. 50% of the move right there. That's a great opportunity for exit. If you didn't take it, it was given to you. If it bounces here, if you get this dip, this is potentially a place to buy the dip. This also is an area where you would potentially buy a dip. The rest of the move higher and to fill the gap obviously is a full move. So anytime you get above the 50 retrace, you're starting to get into an area where, hey, the buying really is starting to become fierce and maniacal, and you have high probability of this thing just projectiling up into this area. If not, and it struggles here at the 50, you'll want to take some profits, and you'll want to just kind of chill out and wait and see if you can find another area to catch as another area to enter for a continuation of the long in the gap fill. Let's put, are these guys bugging out over here? So now if you're just coming into Google, the people coming in and chasing Google are late. What does it mean? It means that they're taking more risk. Whereas where you caught it, or we caught it down here. Everybody see this? So that's your plan for Google for the rest of the day.
It is still red.
Amazon, a similar looking move. Now you got to pull back. This may be an opportunity to re-engage on Amazon. Let's check this little thing. Okay. I actually like how that's reacting. Gap fill. So question,
Small size.
80-20, is it a place to write? Is it a place to look at shorts? It is. If it doesn't work, you step back, you look for the next level. This, however, after a gap down is a positive, to me is a positive, at least short term. Who care? I don't care about that little number. I didn't really care about if where we entered on Amazon, because we entered appropriate size wise. Sorry, Google. If it was wrong on that ISM number where we added, if it was wrong and came in, we already had a place to tap out. So do you see in that instance, after all of the really big data has been out, do you see how I kind of was able to bypass whatever the hell information was going to be in that dinky little report? It was more of a speed bump than anything else. What would it have cost me? It would have cost me $30 or $40 to be wrong. I'm willing to take that. And then it's easy to ratchet up into the move once you already have a rolling start. Could it have been wrong? For sure. Could I have lost some money on the trade? For sure. That wasn't the case. So keep it moving, stack, take profits, keep it moving. Tesla's still getting buyers. Let's take a look. Is there any opportunity? So you guys see this on the fib? You're struggling at the 50% retrace. However, there's positive momentum here. This was a nice spot to re-engage if you did. But you see, as we go, it gets a little tougher. This becomes more and more likely for fill. It just becomes harder if you're late to the trade. You have more anxious moments than if you take some risk in spots that offer more probability. Again, could it have been wrong? Yes. Would it have been small? For sure. Was the upside move worth it? 100%. You take that all day long. All day long, you take that.
Yeah, it looks like a loser.
Yeah, exactly, guys. If you've never traded JWN, and everybody gets all bothered about JWN at least once a year, and it never works. It never works.
Sorry.
Even when the sweepers come in.
17 for Monday. Yes.
That's the other piece of shit everybody's trapped in. Crowd space, guys. Where do I want to consider a roll up here at this 124.5-ish area? Why? Because then it gives me an opportunity to look for gap fill. Do I do anything with it in between here? Not really. Can I look at and consider writing at the monies for today? I can. Why? Because I have a high established. And if that high doesn't get breached, I have high probability of a write working out. So do I want to write 116s? I probably can. Let's take a look at it.
Apple just hit highs.
Look at that. They're still throwing a buck at it. So how far away can I go away? I can go to 118s, which is the most recent high, and get 40 cents. So what we can do is just watch it a little bit here and see if it's going to get a push. And if it gets a push to that 118 area, that's why I've got an alert marked here. That probably is a good spot to look for a right. I don't mind looking at it as a right here. 116s. And if they don't pay and this thing continues to move to the upside, it's an easy morph. So I'm writing 116s. And it was obviously it was gap fill, right? So let's see. There are some newer traders in here who, over the last couple of days, I've been quite mean and rude to, because I have a very specific way of trading a long-term position, and they wanted to do things differently. And I had to correct them in a very abrupt way. And that happens in here.
But again, it's small. You can just like 50K. All you do is like caught a bit rolling out.
Nice job, Vinny. So Roland, Carl, SK, you guys spent some time in the front of the classroom this week. How are you guys doing right now after your public floggings?
There is your news.
Oh, Tesla bears now. Green on Google. Well done. Roland, SK, you guys all right?
Remember, as soon as the signal hits, you can wait a little bit. It's okay.
Let's see, where did you crest at? It's 106. So 106.24. And by the way, if you wanted to say that's a gap fill right here at the bottom, you can. It's not a perfect gap fill, but it's in the area of gap fill. So is this the right spot for you to take some profits? For sure. Can you re-engage with this? Potentially. Yeah. Right. Where do I want to look to do it? Well, you've got several spots. Any of the fibs, especially the 50%, and the 200, which is kind of what it touched. If you're looking for short, could you short it? Yeah, you could short it. Looking for what? Well, let's go ahead and tap on the fib here and reverse this. What would become your targets? If you caught this, if you were lucky enough to catch this, and if you shorted it, where are your areas? Well, boom, right here. And 104.60. And if I want to put an anchor on it to micromanage it, I can. The other question I have, however, is are there sweepers coming back in to buy? Yeah, look at this, 107s for today. So do I like the Google being swept where it's at? It's good, it's not great. I would prefer it here or here. And I'm not touching it again until it checks up and finds a spot to reverse direction. What else can I look at? Let's look at my toss. Okay, this is a 1 minute chart. My RSI and CCI are kind of in the middle, bending down. Maybe there's a little bit more flush out. I'm looking at buyers. There's buyers here. So look for a reentry on Google, but this potentially is a stop hunt. This is potentially what a stop hunt is going to look like. This is the market makers knowing where the stops are. Do you think that they know that the stops are on the 200? Yes. So looking for a spot to re-engage on the Google. And don't forget, as we go, these scalps become harder to hold. That's if you're scalping. But we've found something to work with. We've done well on it so far. We're looking for it to continue. And here's how we're doing it. So that was a good entry right there at that 104.92. Good bounce off of it. And let's see if it keeps running. Any more sweepers coming in? Yeah, Joey, SQs are not fun to play with.
Apple went back to highs.
Mm-hmm.
Apple went back to highs.
Did anybody re-engage on the Google? This is nice.
Got a Tesla.
And bang, there's so if you were short, that's your exit to get out of the way. Now let's look and see if this thing gets the hops to run the rest of the way and fill this gap. And if you want to be in 106s because you already made some money and you're looking a little, for part of your profits and a little bit more kind of a lotto type of play, 106s are good. If it doesn't work out, this area right here is the area where you want to say, okay, I probably either want to tap out or I want to consider an add. And if that doesn't work, you just have to step to the side and wait and see if you get a better opportunity. That's the ebb and the flow of how it works. Typically, when you catch these and you catch them early, this is typically the best part of the move, but not always. Okay, second shot at seeing if the market makers will run stops. We'll see if this thing if they spike it and blow out a bunch of stops through here, again, would be another potential, especially if sweepers start showing up for you to get in at long. As for right now, if you jumped in, this is kind of the area where you can say, I don't know if I want to hang around or not, or I want to add. Let's look at on short term RSI, CCI. There's still potentially some downside here. I still have buyers, however. Large level of liquidity building on Google at 110 on Bookmap. Okay. That's a good note.
Yeah, that was a better entry, that last spike up there.
So you guys see how you have to have some patience around here? In this, you can't just throw a switch.
Now I think I might start short.
You can hear Lucci in the background saying he's looking at shorting calls. Let's see how our crowd, let's see how crowd is doing. How is my right looking? My right's looking great. Did anybody else write CrowdStrike?
Wherever we started the day with.
So you remember, I mean, guys, I'm gonna try to swing it, so.
Roland, are you afraid to speak now?
And hold the runner, so just adjust how you need to, but shoot for it.
SK, nice job. All right, good. I don't need you guys going to run and hide after you've been corrected.
Okay.
Who's he talking to?
And you got mad puts.
Yeah, a little longer though. I'm trying to just look at today and next week flow.
You got Tesla 20 for today.
All right, where are we at? We're at 7:08 Pacific.
What's up?
10:08 on the East Coast. We're still engaged in the Google. You got Lucci writing. We've written some CrowdStrike. What else do I have hanging around? Let's take a look at some of the other stocks here and see if we have on a bigger term or longer term picture. Look at that, right at the 200. You can't make it up. Hey, moving averages don't work. That's dumb. Okay, whatever. Let's see. Tesla, still a nice move up. In phase, hanging around, but on the 8 potential larger accounts for a short here. But you're doing it right in front of earnings, so there's wackiness there. So I'm going to pass. Amazon, similar story to Google. Do you think that they know where the stops are? What happened? You filled the gap. So if you were trading Amazon and you didn't get this move to the upside for gap fill, what did you get? You got an 80% shot at hitting the gap and then reversing. So if you played puts, this is probably where you want to start taking some profits. Goldman, I'm struggling with Goldman. JP Morgan, very much looking like a condor still. I mean, I know there's a lot of lines going on here, but let's take a look and just give you guys some perspective. The 21 EMA, the gold line here is the year-to-date anchor. The squiggly staircase line is the 8 EMA. You got a fib here. You got last year's year-to-date anchored VWAP, and the mint green line is the anchored VWAP from the pandemic. So do you have an area, a zone, a channel currently that JP Morgan is trading in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days now? Can you write a condor, an iron condor, and look for change in direction? My answer is yes. You might want to consider that. So top end of the band is, call it 142, lower end of the band, call it 138. Let's look and see. I can get a buck at the 141s. I can get a buck at the 139s. Not a very good premium collection condor. And if you're looking at those wings, it's a tight band. The market makers are not dumb on this one. They see it too. Do I want to engage in that for a condor for $2 with unknown risk? I need these areas to break. So that is not a condor that's paying me enough money to engage. Pass. NVIDIA, nice move up. You're at an extension level on a short-term basis. What do I mean by that? Well, you had a move that we measured from the low on the 13th of October to the high of the 13th of December. You had a move back down that touched what? Oh, a fib level. But fibs are dumb. They don't work. Okay. So here you had a bottoming out off of the 382 fib and a move that retraced the move and went to an extension level, which is right here. It's resting on the extension level. Another move higher potentially represents short term up to this call it 238 area. Is it becoming stretched? Yeah, it's becoming stretched. Let's look at it on.
Better. Wow, this thing is nuts.
Okay, RSI, CCI getting, it's hot. So is it extended? You can say that it is in an area where probability for continued upside becomes harder. That's what you can say. Earnings pending. MACD starting to wane a little bit. At some point, I would look for this to fade. But it doesn't mean that it from a longer term perspective, a bigger picture perspective, you can see the 50% retrace.
Things on 106 for today.
Nice.
106 calls for today.
Okay, so here from the low of 21 to the high, also of 21, with a fib and a retrace. There was your 50%. It retraced the entire move. So is it appropriate to measure it from there and use these fibs on a longer term basis? It is. If I believe that this is the start of a run back to highs or higher, I can just flip this and get a little different view and see where we're at. Still, it remains. So this 231 area, you can look for it. And if you get it before earnings, I'd step out of the way. Because that potentially spells disaster for people trying to catch it for continuation.
200 on Tesla for today.
AMD pressing higher, mint green line, the anchor from the COVID lows.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's talking too much? Are you talking about me, Matt? Okay, so actually that Domino's, look at that, guys. Larger accounts. Look at this thing. I like it for long, guys, but it's for big accounts, and you're going to have to spread it, and you need to do it off of levels, and you gotta get some time. At least 2 weeks. It is a patient trade. You've got to wait for the pizza dough to rise. Big sweep on Microsoft today. We saw that. Boeing in a spot. There's lots of trade opportunities here. Costco, I'm not so crazy about trade-wise right here. This is a tough one to trade. I kind of like the Lockheed in this spot for upside. This is a big account trade. Regeneron, big account trade. Difficult unless you're on a spot.
Everyone's in this.
Yeah.
You could write this. Biogen on a spot. If you bounce here, you got good upside. If you don't, you have good downside.
Apple is still trading high today.
Okay, SPY here filled the gap. Mind the gap.
Apple single in, hold us up, if not, was higher.
Don't overlook Microsoft when you make that statement, Lucci.
Shit, Jesus' name right here. That's probably what it's
He's not in it.
I can't trade that garbage.
I don't know what he's doing.
That Tesla, 198, guys, 198, smoking long. Smoking long.
Did anybody take Tesla long? Look at where you're at.
What's up?
Let's take this and flip it. Extensions, 211.56, 225.32, which puts you at the 200 moving day average. But hey, moving averages are dumb. They don't work. They don't act like magnets. They don't repeat over and over and over again. This is a backward looking view, and you are a moron if you use them. Disagree. All right, so guys, I've had a nice morning here. I'm looking for continuation of the Google. It's not looking, oh yeah, it just pumped up higher, didn't it? So I was in the, did anybody else take the Google, re-engage on the Google where we did? That worked out pretty well. I'm in there from 46 cents, 79 bid. I'm going to take that, guys, because we're back up to highs here. And I'll look to roll to a lotto strike. I'll look to roll to 107s for 40 cents again. Why not? And if I get the move, great. If I don't care.
199 Tesla. That was the one today, guys. That was your double your money trade here.
I don't know, Lucci. We did pretty good on the Google here.
Oh shit! I still have 25 of these.
I love it when you find extra options hanging around. You're like, why am I green? Oh, they're still coming after the Tesla guys. So if you miss this and you want to be in the Tesla, you probably can. But you know, hey, now I'm in lottos for the rest of this gap fill. 107s, I'm good. I don't need to do anything else for the rest of the day. Are there any questions from anybody who's come from outside of our service? So you've seen this week, if you're following along at all on Twitter, you've seen us take an iron condor, morph an iron condor successfully. That's one type of trade. You've seen us take a long-term long and start to manage the long-term long. This is still from a right perspective, which I took, is still working. I don't have an issue with this. If I need to flip on it, I can. The longer that this goes throughout the day, I'm in good shape. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to move this to here. So give me a notification here then I'll consider having to do something about the right. Until then, I don't need to do anything about it. I'm looking to collect 50 cents and I'll shut it down. You saw us come in and successfully scalp Google and take profits and re-engage. And now on the re-engagement, we've taken profits again and we've rolled to a lotto strike and we can just kick it. So if you guys are just showing up and or you're kind of watching what we do and trying to figure it out, you've been presented with multiple winning trades this morning. You've watched our members take multiple winning trades this AM. And you've been given a nice overview of what we kind of look for on a day-to-day basis. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the chat. If not, I'm going to cut the call. Let's see. Brad Wonder, I see you guys are still killing it. Nice. Yeah, nice. Lone Star Sun. Look at this Tesla. I mean, now these guys are rolling to lottos now, right? More SPY bulls if you want to switch and start scalping some stuff for shits and giggles. You can always come over to SPY is super liquid, easy to get in and out of. You got a potential gap fill here up at 416.41. You're hitting bands of resistance on short-term anchors. So just watch it here. Don't get caught. All right, you guys, other than that, thank you very much for coming by, and have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you guys again very soon. All right, y'all. Have a great day. Peace.